But I think economics should come before all the other stuff, because if we can't live and do things that we're supposed to
Right.
do, then all of that other stuff kind of.
Biden's reign. Biden is sitting on the throne of America. Joe Biden announced re-election, and this is the Gen Z implications. Quality people, this is quality life. Advice that leads you closer to Christ and not Joe Biden. Make sure that you,
for the algorithm,
because we don't want to be quality by ourselves. Man, today, Joseph, isn't it A Biden?
I have no idea. You're
I'm not
asking the
sure.
wrong person.
Joseph Biden announced that he was going to run for re-election today. And he didn't do it at like a rally like normal candidates have done it in the past, or normal presidents have done it in the past.
Really?
He put out a video on Twitter at 6 a.m. just kind of like, hey, I'm
Was he
running
in
for
his basement
re-election.
again?
I'm not sure. Maybe he was on a bike ride and they couldn't buy. I don't know. All right. But anyway, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the implications of that this has on Gen Z and how Gen Z can kind of look for this. And we're actually going to give you some hope on, and hope on like what we can do with Biden running for re-election. And it doesn't mean run to the other side, run to the conservatives or run to the Republicans, but there might be a different way that we can do it. First, I want to show you this video that a clip of a video that he posted earlier today.
Breaking news, President Biden just announced his re-election campaign via a video announcement. The message is, finish the job.
The question we're facing is whether in the years ahead we have more freedom.
Hold on. It says finish the job. I'm sorry. I feel like he hasn't started, but I digress. Okay, let's get
more or less freedom. More rights or fewer. I know what I want the answer to be, and I think you do too. This is not a time to be complacent.
Wait, can we pause here? I wasn't expecting it. I thought he was going to be sitting in his basement like I'm.
No, this is a real campaign.
Yeah,
no, this is a real
I see,
campaign
I
video.
see,
This is a real
I
campaign
see.
video. You haven't seen this?
No.
Oh, okay, well, here we go.
That's why I'm running for re-election.
The
That's not his
president
basement.
entered the 2020 race 4 years ago today and later held his first official campaign rally on Aikens Oval. At 81, Biden will be the oldest candidate to seek re-election.
That might be a problem.
81?
Just saying.
He has to win over members of his own party. A new poll from the Associated Press shows only about half of Democrats think the president should run again.
Well, yeah, there you have it. And so, I mean, do you think Joe Biden should run again?
I don't. I really
Why?
don't.
Let's put our
Okay.
politics aside. Why shouldn't he run again? Just
Putting my politics aside, I mean, just how he's handled different press conferences and things like that. Like, you can tell, like, mentally he's just kind of deteriorating. Because, I mean, like how he handled the whole Tennessee shooting and how he handled that press conference. Like, he came out joking, talking about what, ice cream or something?
yeah, and I think there was maybe more of a backstory to that, but it doesn't look good. Like somebody should really stress, like, hey, not the time for jokes, especially. But I'm not sure if all the details came out about that. But anyway,
Well, and then one last point.
Okay.
And I also find it funny how it's like everyone was like, oh, Trump is going to start a war and stuff, and then Biden started the war.
Pretty much, like he literally started a war. Our first point, Joe Biden isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. And so as a Gen Zer, I feel like he can't even relate to me. One, he's older, and that's not the problem because there's a lot of older people with a lot of wisdom who can relate to people because they're wise at their old age. But it doesn't seem like Joe is in that position. It seems like he's more of he's not a man that can think freely, and so he's just representing the Democratic ideology. It's like, I don't necessarily stand with the Democratic platform or the Democrat platform, but if a Democrat comes along that has, good values and it's like, hey, I don't necessarily agree with everything that the platform stands for, but this is what I'm standing for, and this is how I plan to help the country and bring the country together, I could support a Democrat. But as it stands now, I can't support a lot of stuff that's going on with that party. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in the Republican Party that I don't like as well. All right. And so, I mean, you heard it in the video. A lot of people, even like in Joe's party, is like, no, don't run. I think the video said it was like 50% of, I think it was like elected officials that are Democrat, just like, no, we don't really want you to run. And the fact that he's like, I'm going to run it's
just not a good look.
It's not a good look.
Because like other countries don't respect him either. So, and then it makes our country look weak and stuff. So, yeah.
Right. He hasn't been a very strong president. And that's the opposite of what, Trump was, regardless of whether you agreed with his politics or not. He was a very strong president, but he was also very divisive, which is why I didn't necessarily like Trump as much, but he did have the economy. So like there was pros and there was cons to Trump, just like with any other person. But I mean, even people on Joe Biden's, side are basically saying don't run. Here is a video from the Young Turks echoing this sentiment.
Joe Biden would be stupid to run again in 2024. He needs to sit his ass down, take his nap. Why do you want to run again in 2024? You're ineffective. You are a failure. You have failed the electorate. You have all these people showing up to vote, canvassing on your behalf, ensuring the two Democrats won the Senate runoff races in Georgia because you said it was so important to have that majority in the Senate. And then you turned around and did nothing for the American people. Sit down, don't run again. It would be a massive mistake. This is not an endorsement of what the Republicans are doing. I am furious that the corporate Democratic Party fearmongers about the right wing and then enables them. They enable them day in, day out. I despise these people. They all need to be primaried. They need to sit down, get the hell out of the way, and let actual leaders do the governing.
It's like everyone's over the establishment, like on both sides.
Exactly. Everyone's over the establishment. Yeah. And what she said about the Democratic Party could also be said about the Republican Party. It's like everything is about our party and our party winning. And it's like, no, the American people just want a functioning country where we can come together. And I've been traveling the country the last 8-9 months interviewing World War II veterans, and they all, no matter what side of the political spectrum that they're on, they all echo the same thing. And they say, the guys in Washington now, they're ruining the country. It's like, basically, when we all knew that we had a duty back then and we had to go serve our country, they were always doing things for the good of the country. And they don't see that happening in Washington. And almost every single one of them echo the same sentiment, as well as saying that it's actually starting at a very young age, this kind of mindset, because they said that one vet said, it's been like, I used to go to schools all the time and talk to the kids about World War II and what it was like and the history of it. And now people they're not even teaching anymore. I haven't even been invited back. And that was with a couple of vets, and the other vets were like, I wish they would teach the kids in school because they come across so many kids that just don't know anything about what actually happened and the implications of World War II, which if you don't know, you need to kind of do your history, because if World War II goes any differently, the world looks a whole lot differently today. And so let's get into our next point. Our next point is Joe Biden couldn't be in touch with Gen Z even if he tried. And that's one of my big gripes with him. I mean, even Trump to a degree, he does a better job of appealing to and entertaining, which can kind of, grasp and be more attractive to a younger audience. But Joe Biden, like if I were to have a conversation with him, it would feel like he wouldn't relate to me other than just points that he got off of my profile, basically.
Yeah.
Because Gen Z might have a profile that says, oh, they like this and this and this, and he would just start speaking to that. And I'm like, dude, I don't like I'm my own person.
You like rap music?
Right, yeah. It's like the stuff they do with like when they sit down with like Cardi B or
Yeah,
different
it
people
would
like
be like
that. And
that.
it's like, it's not the fact that you sit down with these people. It's the fact, it's the way that you go about it that you think that she is the representative of all of us. It's like we like her music, right? We don't follow her for, her politics. I know that she's into that kind of stuff. And like, again, it's not that he had the interview with her or that he spoke with her. Is the fact that it was basically like, oh, this is your leader, and so because
So if she
y'all
likes
kind of
me,
worship
you
her,
guys will like
yeah,
me.
it's like it's basically like that. It's like I'm not doing this for the good of you and to connect with you. I'm doing this so I'm trying to essentially buy your vote, essentially. So that's kind of the problem that I had with that. And speaking of anti-establishment, I know you mentioned that earlier. We have a anti-establishment YouTube channel. Well, they do news that's anti-establishment on YouTube. It's called Breaking Point. They do really fair analysis, and they basically go at both sides. And I think it's great and refreshing. And here's some of their ideas on the Joe Biden reelection that I think Gen Z needs to hear.
The bottom line still remains that people care a lot about whether or not they can feed their kids, about whether or not they're earning enough income that maybe one day in
Like, yes, it's like maybe Gen Z and we don't have kids yet, but we're getting to the age where we have to think about providing for ourselves. And if milk is $12 a gallon, it's like, what am I supposed to do as a broke college student that's just graduating or trying to get on my feet? It's like, of course, they're going to argue for higher minimum wage, which
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily need to happen, but it's like the cost of living is so high. So it's like, what are you to do?
a far off distant land, they might be able to buy a home. They care a lot about whether or not they can afford to go to a doctor when they're sick. And if you are taking all of that off the table, you are opening up a huge lane, especially at a time when you have so many Americans saying, I'm struggling economically. I'm concerned about a recession. I think we may already be in a recession. Inflation is eating into my wages and making it so that every single month it is harder and harder to get by.
And that's kind of another thing that hasn't been stressed throughout like the last couple of years is the emphasis to make the average American life, easier and better as a whole. There's been a lot of just other issues that have taken precedent over the actual American lifestyle and the well-being of their everyday life. It's like, yeah, some of these issues are important, but at the end of the day, we got to live our life before some of these issues even matter. Like, we need to be able to have food.
Yeah,
we need to be able to, go to the doctor. It's kind of wild.
Yeah, like just basic economics. I feel like this is a personal thing, but I think economics should come before all the other stuff, because if we can't live and do things that we're supposed to do, then all of that other stuff kind of goes by the wayside.
Right. It's kind of like where your values aligned at properly as far as like in the political spectrum. It's like, what's at the highest value? Is it these, crazy issues that are going on that seem to be taking precedent, or is it, let's let's put the American people in a position to thrive. That's how it was when we were building the country. And now that we've kind of gotten to a point, it's like all these other issues are taking precedent over, the actual thriving and lives of the American people.
Yeah, it's like that triangle. I forgot what it was called. It was a triangle, and it shows you like what needs need to happen first before you can move on to the next part of the triangle.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like that.
Exactly. It's like we skip over the basic needs, and we don't take care of that because, in large part, since we are the wealthiest country in the world, a lot of us aren't struggling per se with basic needs. But if you want to continue this growth, that has to be the base. It's like if your foundation isn't strong, if you don't have that unlocked, you can't advance to all these other issues. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how we're seeing it. And so let's get back into our points. Here's our last point. We need to get back to voting for people and not parties. And so Joe Biden's running. A lot of people don't want him to run, which is probably a good thing. But like I said, that doesn't mean necessarily run to the Republicans or run to the other opposite side of the spectrum. So Gen Z actually has a tremendous opportunity where we can, or younger people just in general can say, all right, this whole party thing, the split is kind of getting out of hand. Let's see what we can do with our voting power to shake up how the parties are operating, or make them irrelevant, which it's going to be hard to do, to make them irrelevant, but at the least we can do is with our voting power make a statement in some sort of way, voice our opinion in some sort of way. And so we don't necessarily have to endorse Joe Biden and the Democratic Party or them. It's like we need to find something. We need to go about, and I don't claim to know the answer, but we have an opportunity now to where it's like we have this guy on this side that not a lot of people like, and we have this guy on this side, Trump, that a lot of people don't like either. And it's like, well, you say we got to take the lesser of two evils, but it's like, do we? We don't. That's not very democratic. That seems like it's tyranny. You're just choosing. You're choosing one evil.
I mean, I would even argue like not even voting for the people over the party, but voting for the policies before the person. Because I feel like vote for the policies, that's really what's going to affect you, not the person.
Right. Well, so and that's kind of what I mean when I say you're voting for the person and what that person stands for, like what they're putting forward as far as like what they say, what policies they want to push over, what party they stand for. And it's kind of like I said, that's why I could vote for a Democrat if they, put forth policies that I'm like, okay, yeah, that can bring people together. That can do a lot for the country. But as it stands now, there's just a lot of craziness going on the Democratic side that I don't support.
Yeah, I mean, I just think it's so important to like look at people's voting records if they're already in office. Look at like those long, boring documents. Like look at those, because just seeing a Facebook post and someone's going off about whatever this politician did or whatever this bill is being passed is saying, if you don't read it for yourself, you might get misinformation and that might end up swaying your vote.
Before you get on out of here, make sure that you like this video next, and we will see you in the next one. Don't be beta. So the Alpha and Omega. We'll see you next time. I gotta get better at that, but